What's happening, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the podcast. Super stoked for this one. This is a cool guest. So I've only actually met Theo a couple of weeks ago, and he's actually had quite a considerable impact on my life already. And I thought it'd be an amazing opportunity to get him to come onto the podcast to essentially just talk about the sort of journey of personal development and progression, but from a different angle, one that I believe that a lot of people have a lot of like red tape around because they don't really, they think of someone with crystals on the neck, don't they?
Yeah.
Yeah. So when we talk about like spirituality and healing, Phil's going to literally dive right into it today, but let's get stuck into the episodes. But before we do that, make sure that you've hit subscribe to the channel. Anyway, let's go. So bro, how did a Greek man end up in Bali in Australia living, like how did you end up here, mate, doing what you do, man? Like changing people's lives and healing people.
It's been a long journey, and for me, I always see it like from the lens of the hero's journey.
Yeah.
So I started probably 1.5 years ago in Bali, my next one basically. So Australia was my main one, like the big one, and through that, like I had all sorts of smaller, essentially, hero experiences. But yeah, Bali for me was calling me for a long time, about 4 or 5 years. And for as long as I was in Australia, I've never actually visited at all. And I was in Perth, which is really close.
Yeah.
So when I came here, I was completely a newbie. Yeah. And yeah, I've been here for the last 1.5 years.
Yeah. And talk me back through your journey a little bit more. Obviously, you're now at this point right here. You've been here for a year and a half. You like how I actually met Theo was it's mad how you met. I was thinking about this on the way in driving here. So I'm part of a mastermind where I met Zara, who was on the podcast last, and Zara spoke highly about you doing like a really deep tissue massage, but that wasn't a deep tissue massage, was it?
It's a special one.
Yeah, and man, I felt like my soul came out of my body, and doing breathing techniques and do it and stuff. But you're a physiotherapist as well.
Yeah, my background, like I started from that, yeah, and then I progressed through all sorts of other modalities.
Yeah. So like, talk me through that. So you grew up in Greece,
Yep.
and then you studied physiotherapy, and then what led you down this path of like spirituality, healing?
So basically in Greece, because this is also the place that I had a lot of my traumatic experience, my early traumatic experiences that really shaped me to who I was back then. But yeah, what led me basically to focus so much on the physiology and trying to understand the body was basically like the traumatic experiences that I had. A car accident that I had when I was 16, where I almost lost my life, and then another very traumatic experience that I had 2 years after that when I was 18 in a big brawl where I got stabbed, and yeah, it was a very intense experience. So all this basically like I had a lot of PTSD after that, and I felt like lost and disconnected. And like to put it really simple, that the way I felt inside, it was basically that I couldn't access who I was before. It was almost like this fragmentation in my psyche, and there was just scattered pieces everywhere. So I felt basically not myself at all.
Yeah. And how long did you live like that for?
How long
Yeah.
did I?
Live like that for, like, feeling that way, like until you really start.
Oh, really? It took me probably after that, like at least 14 years until I really actually started to understand what happened and recognized, what was going on.
It's always in your 30s, isn't it? Seems to be your 30s.
Yeah, and everything happened in Australia for me. That's why Australia has been very significant. And it was very hard for me to let it go also.
I can imagine, man. It's
So the pain led me to all that. Because all of our experiences, essentially, they shape us to who we are. And for people like us that we serve in some capacity, it's always like the journey that we had that really led us to how we even work with people.
yeah.
Because what happens is we basically shape ourselves in a way that we're trying to help past versions of ourselves. So even like a lot of the times, like I see myself with the people that I work with, and it's always, oh, he reminds me of myself when I was, for example, 29 or 30. And it's always like, exactly what you need to do and how to support them through their experience.
Yeah. Something you said to me when we were just chatting before, because you were just sizing me up, man, when you were just chatting away. When I came in before, you went to town on my back and stuff, man. And you were basically just talking about how that undeniably like going on this sort of journey of like figuring yourself out a little bit more is just like such a selfless thing to do as someone that is serving other people, as you put it. Like, because what I've found is that the more I go on this sort of journey of, call it whatever you want, spirituality, healing, progress, personal development, whatever you want to coin it as, the more I can just explain things to people through a lens that like a past version of me wouldn't have been able to do it, because I understood it, but I didn't understand it. Like I kind of got it. Like I got the understanding that like that would be beneficial for you. I can see why that helps people. I would encourage someone to do that. But until you have actually went and tried different modalities of improvement yourself, then you can't comment on it. And you can't articulate it in a way that's understanding for people. It's just going to fall on deaf ears.
Yeah. The thing is also like like you can only take people as far as you have been yourself. And that's why the deeper you go within yourself and the more you understand yourself, it changes completely the way you interact with people, because you have so much more awareness and understanding. So when you have someone in front of you, you can consistently see so much more.
Yeah.
And you know straight away, like, you know, what's happening. Like I can sit in front of someone with the experience that I have now, and I can receive so much information straight away. And that comes through experience.
I was saying to me and Ailey and Zara were talking as well, and we are like, I bet once you've got that level of awareness, that level of understanding, and even like that pressure point breathing massage you done to me, you'll be able to feel in people like where things are. Like I always think it's amazing when you go to like yoga or something like this, and like there's such a skill in them being able to read a room. It's like an artist, like being able to like just to being able to like match the level of energy in a room, like a DJ, or like they know how to orchestrate. And even when I used to take like group classes, like you just knew how to like make a room go. Do you know what I mean? Like because you start to get this like deep intuition on how to do it. And like you said, I can resonate with that so much. I can talk to people sometimes and I'm like, I'm not going to tell them what I know, but like they need to figure that out themselves, man. It's quite unhinging, isn't it? Yeah. You're kind of like, I know what you're going through right now.
But that's the thing, when you are highly empathetic, and it has to do with empathy, you just feel everything around you. And especially, you know, a lot of people are afraid of that because it is a superpower, but until you actually learn how to harness it and understand it, it's hard, and it can be very overwhelming. So that's the thing, there is a transition that needs to happen in regards to that, you know, because there's so much that you can actually experience from the external environment. You can feel everybody around you.
Even that breathwork class, man, you could feel the energy in that room. Like, even, like I've done like meditation before. No, it's not meditation. It is a form of meditation when you're doing it, but and when you're doing it in the presence of someone else, you'll feel the lightness or the darkness. Like, depending on where someone's mood, it's like if you spend time with someone that's like what I was joking about, saying that like Voldemort. Like you spend time with people that are a little bit lower energy, lower frequency, and you're like drained. And this as well for people that are in higher performing, more demanding roles that are dealing with people, they do not even realize the demands that happen in a day from like an actual energy standpoint that they think is just food. They're like food and sleep, and you're like, no man, like yeah, like if you're in a role where like you're making big decisions every single day, you're having to let people go. Like you're having to tell people are just shitting on you all the time. Like people are, it's like getting kicked in the soul like so many times. And then if you don't acknowledge what that's doing to your internals, man, like not organs, but I mean like your central nervous system.
You can go so far, especially as a leader, if you have to deal with so much, because you need to manage your energy first of all, and we don't have unlimited energy. But then also at the same time, everything has an impact internally. It's the nervous system, it can be emotionally, it can be mentally, like there's so many ways that you can be affected. And the more the load, you know, it keeps adding up. So if you don't actually have things in place to actually work on yourself and regulate the nervous system and, you know, essentially empty all this that is coming through, you're gonna reach to a point that you get overwhelmed because there's no more space inside. So that's the thing. It's very, very important, like to go through these processes and do the healing, start the healing process essentially.
And it's hard when people are in these points of like they're in a pressure cooker and you can see it's like got to like a really bad point in their life where they can't even, they're at a breaking point. And that's why folk can rely on pills. That's why folk can get to the point where they're going down a route of.
And anything to keep the identity going, just to keep the mask going. Because that's a thing for them, letting that go means death, literally.
Yeah, because you don't know who they are.
There's nothing behind that. They build such a strong identity, and for the longer you actually keep going with that, the more the neural pathways get shaped, and basically it's almost you identified yourself with the mask. And if you haven't done any background work to develop yourself further, if that breaks, good luck. We can bring so many examples, like even from high-level athletes. How many examples do you know from so many different sports? Whenever they reach the level of success that they wanted, it can be like an Olympic gold medal, it can be like the championship in soccer, it can be anything. So they achieve that, and then when they have to stop their career because they haven't done anything else apart from that, they fall apart completely.
Yeah.
Because for so long, that's all they know of themselves, which is basically the ego. It's just an identity, which is the false sense of self.
I was talking to our guys last night in our group weekly call about the idea of being all in or all consumed, and like the difference when it's like healthy and unhealthy. Kind of need to do that as well, though, don't you? You need to go through that. Like obviously, like there's points that people tolerate well beyond what they need to be doing. But you do sometimes need to fracture yourself, man. You do sometimes need to go through these.
You need to let yourself fall apart. Like
Yeah.
that's the thing. That's the only way you're gonna develop something further, and you can actually start developing the new identity. That's the thing, because you bring yourself to a point, and because you haven't done that previously, that's the only way to go about it. And that's why you need to have someone to hold you through this process, and that actually understands how to pace you and progress you, so you can go through and basically create something else and more depth.
Yeah, it's a journey, isn't it? And
It is.
everyone wants.
It's a beautiful journey.
Yeah, it really is.
If you let it happen.
Yeah, because people fight it, don't they? So obviously, you mentioned about like started off. You studied obviously physiotherapy. That's kind of conventionally where you started off, and then your journey led you to Australia. You've obviously studied a lot of other different things as well. Like what
I've created so many identities.
Yeah. what? Tell me just like some of the stuff that you've studied and.
I've done even sports as a sports nutrition course. Obviously, breathwork facilitation, spinal and energetics, shamanic trainings for plant medicine. I've been to the jungle in Peru, so I've done all sorts of things. A lot of coaching also and certifications there. Yeah, so I've been working as a coach for 7 years also, because there's obviously like the healing aspect, retreats and both working with men and women in that capacity through breath work and all the other modalities. But then there's also the coaching aspect. You need to work also like with the mindset and work through the mind.
Yeah, because something I was actually going to say to you before, there is like a sometimes not a dark side to this, but like when you're just focusing purely on one thing, people can become so dependent. I once met a woman who was telling me that she went through a phase where she'd went through a lot of trauma. She didn't go into it and stuff, and she found meditation, and she was very spiritual. She was a yoga teacher, and she actually said that she found herself escaping through meditation, like to the point where that became her new addiction.
Everything, literally everything can be an escape, 100%. Everything. Training can be that. You probably know that too well. Everything. Substances, meditation, like spirituality, like everything can become an escape essentially. And that's the problem even with the spirituality nowadays, because people create a new identity through spirituality, and essentially they start bypassing, what we call basically bypassing, because they're not willing, or they're not willing basically to face themselves properly. So they create this identity from spirituality, so they can basically avoid dealing with the stuff. That's why you see so many people essentially, like the love and light communities, or like,
Yeah, they're kind of in stagnation. They're not really, nothing's really happening. They're just.
It's hard work, man. It requires a lot of energy, like it requires a lot of resources, internal and external, to go through a process like that. That's why it needs to happen in a specific way. And it's not something that you should be doing consistently. You need to have basically seasons that you're focusing on that. Especially if you're someone that you have your own business, you're an entrepreneur, You can't afford consistently just focusing on that because it will hinder a lot your performance and your productivity. So you need to have periods of times that you're going to say, okay, for this block of time, I'm going to focus on that. I'm going to deal with whatever traumas or like, and do a specific process. Because healing also, it's not linear. Literally, you will keep going and you keep revisiting things.
Yeah, kind of answered one of the things I was going to ask you as well. Cause I'm so curious about this because like I look at like body and mind coach, like what you facilitate, the work that you do, the clients you work with, the coaching you do. And obviously all this studying, being to Peru, like studying different forms, like psychedelics, all different stuff. For every individual, when you've kind of answered this already, do you facilitate different methods, or is there a bit of a blueprint that you recommend that someone would start with, or like minimal entry access? You get what I mean here? Like, and because to me, it's like it's one of these things that where would you start? Like that's a big topic, and I know it's the same in like health and fitness. They're kind of the same thing, aren't they? Like it's just improvement, right? But people feel this way in fitness as well, where they're like, where do I start? Like there's so much here. It's probably the same in like spirituality. Like, what would you say to someone that's just like that? Let's say, for example, you've got someone that's like what corporate executive, burn out like hell. They are literally at the point where like, I need to change. They're like, I seen this guy talking about these things. What do I do? What would that look like?
Well, someone like that, if they haven't done any previous work, and always like with someone that's just starting, you need to adjust everything. You can't go straight away and go into the deep end with someone that has no understanding at all of these processes. So basically, that's why even for me, the way I have evolved, I learned so many new skills. Like I keep consistently like adding things to my toolkit. So depending where someone is, I can basically cater to them. So a high exec, as you said, someone that performs in such a high level, and usually, obviously, they have created an identity from doing. Usually, will be someone that they struggle to slow down and actually connect with themselves. And especially the longer that has been going for, it's harder also to support them with that. And what's underneath, usually, it's basically lack of safety. So the first thing that you need to do is actually help them to go to a place that they feel safe inside. And as soon as you establish the safety, then you can start actually working through like more intense processes and everything else. So depending on who I have in front of me, I have to, that's the thing. Not everybody is the same. And that's the cool thing. That's why I don't agree also with always like having just one thing that you do and that's it.
Yeah.
You know, you can, for example, in a group coaching container, usually you will bring people in that they're in a similar stage and you can actually support a group like that. But when you work on one-on-one, you have to adjust to the individual. So that's the thing. And then you can make a plan and progress them the way that it suits them. And also you can utilize, more advanced, tools and methods and everything.
It's interesting. This is genuinely me just being so curious. Like I was like, yeah, like I'm like how because it's how I've learned and what I've done, and there is no one size fits all. But there will be certain methods and strategies that you swear by that you're like, this is really, really good at this point. Is there anything that you're like, if someone was like looking to kind of explore more like different sort of like they're looking to kind of open their mind up a little bit more and they were at a point where they felt a bit safer to do it, is there something that you would just say, go and do this, it will genuinely be like so transforming for you? Is there like one thing?
From a somatic standpoint,
Yeah, yeah.
it's definitely breath work. Because if you cannot access your nervous system, like consciously, you can't do anything. It's a fact, And breath, it's the most important thing. Like literally, if you don't breathe, you die. So if you don't learn how to actually slow down through your breath and connect with your body and your nervous system, you cannot do anything else. So actually supporting them through breath work and different techniques, because you have different techniques to basically deregulate the nervous system and slow down so you can be present with yourself and calm and start creating safety. And then depending if they're stuck on fight or flight, basically what we say about the nervous system, or if they are on freeze or fawn, you will use different things. So you need to gauge where everybody is.
Yeah.
That's the thing. But breath work is always like the entry point.
Yeah, I've been saying for ages I was going to do it, and then it was when I met you, and you were like, "Yeah, I'm facilitating like a group setting." I was like, "I'll be there, man." So it's I was thinking about this in a way, and I would say that was life changing. Like people hear that word life changing, and they're like, "What do you mean? Like you came to and you had this big realization?" The realization wasn't that it changed my perspective on life. It was that you can actually have such a profound impact on how you feel in a couple hours. Like you could literally change. Like I mean, like because I was quite fried. I was saying I was feeling like I was. My nervous system was like just had 10 days of like just dealing with a lot of things. That I was. I hate the word fine, but like I was. It wasn't like struggling as that, but I definitely felt lower frequency. Fuck man, I'm a bit dragging my knuckles right now. I feel a bit more negative. And how I felt the next day, and there was no substance that was taken. There was, and see, to know that like for someone that like myself that still actually prides myself on looking after myself, take solitude every morning, like very self-aware, and that I can have that much of an impact in a couple of hours and feel the way I felt the next day. I was like, whoa, that's insane.
It's really cool. And think about for yourself, for example, because you have such high standards in the way you have been performing in general from a physical standpoint with your training, and then with your work and everything else. For a couple of hours, all you had to do is literally lay down, relax in your body, because obviously we did a lot of preparation in regards to that. And then all you had to do is keep repeating the same pattern, breathing, which basically you increase so much the energy in your body, but at the same time, you get out of your mind, which is the most important thing. Because usually what happens, we basically identify ourselves with our thoughts and we start going into spirals. And if that keeps going, like it's hard to get out of it. So having experiences like that you can actually get out of the mind and relax inside the body can actually create like a whole new perspective in what is achievable.
And that's what it done for me, man. It was like the next day, me and Ailey were like belly laughing. Like I mean, like just like I felt I was like I'm having such a good day, man.
And that's only your first time. Like imagine actually like
Monthly,
yes, staying consistent a bit because the more you do it, obviously the better you become. You become more experienced. It's easier for you to breathe, like with depth
I was like,
and in this. And there's so many different techniques also that you can use or methods. That's the thing. So there's a plethora of methods and different
so
techniques.
interesting. Totally.
Yeah.
It's something I'm going to definitely explore an avenue down and go in. And I can honestly even say that in my coaching journey, it'll probably be something I end up taking into my coaching practice. And like I can totally see how if something has that positive an impact on you, it's like why wouldn't you encourage more people to do that? I just think there's probably a lot of for people wouldn't feel that comfortable enough. Like what some people mention about you guys holding the space, I really got that. Like I felt cool to go and do it, but it's an unusual thing doing that. Like it's like that's not people. That's why they don't get that feeling because they don't do that. But like breathing heavily and doing that in a room full of people, I know you can do it by yourself, but like that would freak people out. Like to do that, and I can imagine,
Especially on their first time,
yeah,
for sure.
yeah, because they'd be like, I feel so socially weird right now. Like, but
Fear of being seen or judged, like there's so much that is coming up.
and that's it. It's like there was a woman that said something at the end when everyone was making some shares. Obviously, I never caught anyone's name. I wouldn't name any names. And there was I can't remember what she said, but it was like I didn't feel the. I can't remember, but she was just saying she was like focusing, and I was like, but that's the point. Like that's where your headspace was at. Like that's what I've always learned is that your mind's telling you something. If you can't center yourself, it's probably like that's probably telling me something right now about like what I'm maybe not doing in other parts of my life. Do you know what I mean? Like even when you think the thing isn't working, you're like, it's working because it's like telling you something.
But the thing is, are you willing to listen though and actually receive the lesson? Because any experience that you're gonna have in those environments, even if it's breath work, even if it's a psychedelic ceremony, for example, you always get what you need. Always, with no miss. So it will reveal to you what's happening in your mind. It will reveal to you what's happening in your body. It will reveal to you potentially even what's happening spiritually, for example. You can have a very spiritual experience even with breath work. Literally, you can have visions. You can see.
Seen things.
Yeah, you can. Because the thing is, when you actually breathe with intensity, you actually produce also endogenous DMT,
Yeah.
And that's the thing. So you can have actually a very profound spiritual experience.
Mine was very physical, and I was very conscious, and then I went like completely unconscious. I think I fell asleep. And so yeah, yeah. And but like, how long was it going for? To give people an idea, how long was that breathing technique going for? Like an hour and
At least 1.5 hours.
90 minutes. 90 minutes of breathing.
Some people actually finish shorter because they have a shorter energy cycle. Some people go for longer. So that's the thing. Like you need to gauge where everybody is and actually allow everybody to complete their process.
Yeah, it's funny, man. Like, see, whatever. Like, I trust whatever. I'm so trusting, by the way. Like, so see if someone's like a practitioner and they say do it. Like, I was remembering you were like, there will be a point where it feels like it's being forced. Just persevere, and I done that. And I was like in pain. My body was physically.
Your hands were.
Yeah, my hands were like this, and I was like, and then my body just went, zzz, like, and I felt like I melted into the floor, and like, but like you said, I was just repeating your words. Really, just persevere. Like I am like a Mongol man. Like I am, like I go full blown. Like,
but here is the thing.
Yeah.
I do feel like even in your life in general, you are someone that will push past. So I believe you're comfortable with that. So somebody else, usually, like when that happens, this is called tetany, by the way, what happens in the hands, because they go like really like spastic. But the thing is, it can actually be also so painful. So someone that is not like you, they may freak out also. That's why it's very important to prepare everybody, mentally, that they understand what may even happen and they know how to work through that.
Yeah, because you said it, and then I was just like, you couldn't hurt yourself breathing. Like I was just, you can't physically. Could you? Is that like, has anyone ever hurt themselves breathing?
I've never seen it.
Yeah, well, like, because I kept thinking that. I was like, this is actually sore, and I was like, but this is my body telling me, like, I must have a lot of like tension in my body right now.
There's a lot, obviously a lot of research and a lot of this is techniques, even because holotropic breathwork, for example, because I think it started from Stanislav Grof. I think it was around in the 60s or 70s. He created basically holotropic breathwork, which is even more intense to what we did, and it goes for 3 hours. Yeah, it's very, very intense. So he created that because back then they were doing basically therapy with LSD, mushrooms, like all sorts of different substances with a lot of success. And as soon as those substances got banned, he was trying to recreate basically, okay, what actually works so well about the psychedelics that provides the results. And he figured out like that it is basically the altered state of consciousness. So he tried to recreate that, and then they created the holotropic breath work because it takes you basically to the same state without having any substance, just using your breath. And then from that, there's so many other techniques that they have been developed and so many different ways to access that. And it's all about basically like doing that work and liberating basically the nervous system from trauma imprints to emotional suppression, like the emotions that are stuck in the body that we haven't expressed, which is basically all energy. Because emotions, even, it's literally energy in motion. So every time, like that, when you were a child, that a parent, a parental figure told you basically to don't be angry, don't be this, don't be that, and you start basically suppressing, all this energy is trapped inside the body. Yeah. So essentially, like with those methods, you can access that and basically move this energy and liberate the body and the nervous system from what it's holding, which is very, very important.
It's insane, and it's I think you said something about you have to allow it to happen, and it's sad that people aren't at a point where they're maybe aware enough to even acknowledge that, oh, wait a minute, like I'm pretty complex, like I'm actually pretty complex. There's a lot of things going on here. What's the sort of biggest transformation that you've had with someone that's came in? Like, you don't have to name any names. What sort of change?
I've seen crazy transformations. The thing is, because I've been also running retreats for 4 years now.
Yeah.
I've been a part, including actually other people retreats that I actually have been a part of. I think I've done right now 35 in 4 years, which is a lot. So I've seen more than like 1,000 transformations. And this is only like in a group setting. So if you put down like my own work, because I've been working with people now to close to 17 years, with the somatic work, cognitively, even spiritually. So I've seen so much. And I've seen like from people that they struggle, for example, with, complex PTSD or heavy addiction problems like with substances, to even high executives and CEOs that they're so disconnected from themselves. Like I've seen all sorts of transformations, and I've seen like wild stuff, and especially because I'm in the space also of the plant medicine, especially there, like it's you can see a lot.
What's your stance on like big pharma?
Well, the thing is with big pharma, personally, and with all the research that I have done, and I think everybody sees nowadays what has happened, they essentially created a business from keeping us sick. So they create the problem, so they can sell us their products, and essentially keep making money from us for as long as we live. And it starts from the vaccines, which they actually damage the whole immune system and everything else. And then they have all these hundreds different products to sell you after that because they destroyed your system.
I had to take that vaccine, and I'm so annoyed for COVID, man. Yeah, because I had to leave the country, and I had to take it, and I was just like, I remember the nurse was like, I was like, I'm really not happy about this. She went, it's shocking, isn't it? The nurse administering it was like, this is terrible. Like,
For me, the thing is, for people that they didn't have the education and the information in regards to vaccines, what actually happens and all the stuff, I understand it. Then there was a category of people that they actually knew all that, but they still, when they got basically pushed to their limits, they agreed also to have it. For me, there was also the category that no matter what, they didn't have the vaccine. And this is how my stance was also. So for me, no matter what happened, there was no way I was gonna put this in my system.
it's mad, isn't it?
Nah.
I seen that video of like in the UK, what you call it? Not funeral director, what's a morgue? People that work in a morgue that basically like put the body,
Oh, that they find inside like all these,
taking like out their veins, like
pieces,
pieces of like, it looked like a worm,
Oh man.
and it's like all of these people have had the vaccine, and it's like they've pulled out like what looks like spaghetti.
Yeah, you have now turbo cancers, and this is actually still pretty early on post-COVID. You will see also in the next 5 years how much is happening. And that's why even some of the tools that I utilize with working with people is basically how to clear the system even from that. Like there's so many ways to actually detoxify the system and clear things out.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. It's crazy how much you don't realize. Like I was always under the stance, like not that I was like pro, but I wasn't like against. But then I realized like you're the little pawn. Like you're the exactly what, like, because I was like, well, I'm not against it, but I'm not pro it. Therefore, like, surely I'm not one of the people that are being manipulated. And I'm like, no, I'm exactly. I'm like a little chess piece.
The thing is, as men specifically, it's our duty to actually educate ourselves and to actually understand what is happening out there in general, how things are running in the world, so we can actually protect.
Yeah.
So we can protect our families, we can protect the women, the kids, like everything. It starts from us. As a man, for me specifically, that's how I see it.
That's the way I see it as well.
No, and that's what I did also. Even through this process, I was in Australia, and Australia also was pretty bad. I did not compromise at all. I did not take anything. I wasn't wearing mask, like literally nothing, because I know it's all bullshit, and I know what they're trying to do. So I tried also to protect the people around me, to educate them, and also like support them, especially if they were open to that. I didn't try to force anyone, but that's the whole thing. And this is what's happening also like post-COVID, because through this experience, it actually brought everything into the surface. So more and more people can actually see the truth now. And they shot themselves in the foot also with what they tried to do, because they woke up so many more people. And essentially you have now people also with resources and wealth that they actually understand what's happening, that they're actually trying to create new systems in all these different areas, because this is what's happening. We have a split now in society. You have the people that they're going to follow basically according to their conditioning, what they already know. And despite a lot of them, they saw that what they what they what they followed through the whole process, it was all bullshit. But because of the cognitive dissonance, they just cannot go past it. So they still choose to follow the same way. But then there's all these people that they actually woke up, and now you have these two different directions of humanity, you know?
Yeah, I'm definitely on the woke side, man. But like woke in a different way, not.
No woke. Like woke up from the illusion or delusions that we had before.
It did kind of bite them in the ass, didn't it, man? It did, because it's like, yeah, because people now are like, yeah, like, I'm not going to do that.
They cannot hide anymore.
They could, if there was like another pandemic or something, people would be like, fuck off. Like, no, man, I'm not doing that. It was funny in Scotland. That's quite like a Scottish mentality to be like, nah. Like, people like, see all the other countries, the lockdowns were dead aggressive. They were aggressive in the UK, mate, but loads of folk were like, nah. Like, loads of people were just like, oh, you're only allowed to go one walk a day. I was like, I'm just been out a walk, what, for 5 hours? Like, so it was very like that, man. But it's crazy, mate. Like, it's interesting actually looking back and realizing how much it made people go. And I would honestly say as well, like, even right now, obviously in the UK there's a lot going on, and I think in Australia as well, especially with like digital IDs.
In my country, it's the same thing.
And it's people are now going, nah, or like people like, again, people that. It's estimated, I can't remember what the number is, of like so many business owners leaving the UK. It's insane. Like, it's like an insane, it's like I don't even know what the number is. It's mad. And it's why so many of us have just left. It's like, because you're part of a society that isn't looking out for you, man. You're contributing towards it, and it's like nothing's benefiting you.
Bro, the system is not designed for you to win, let's be honest.
The only time I won was lockdown, and I got the thing with payments. And I remember being like, this is like free money, man. Like, because I got put out of work and I had to like create new work, and they were funding me for the work I wasn't getting, and I was like, this is great, man.
But even that is not free, bro. Like, because they're leading you to something else. That's the reality. There's no way that they're gonna give you money for free.
I know.
That they're always trying to get you in some capacity.
I wasn't pure. I was just doing my own thing, because like it was see all the people that were like waiting on it. I remember I was like, fuck waiting. What are you waiting on? Like, you can't wait. Like, so I started my online business then, and I was face to face before. Changed it all.
But see, you had that choice to make. And what did you do? You actually chose to liberate yourself. You chose freedom. And freedom is a big thing nowadays. So actually freeing yourself up from the system is the most important thing. And actually understand how to do that. Because if we stay in our countries, in you know, like in our cultures and within the system, you have to obey and you have to follow the rules. That's the thing. And we all know where that leads. It leads to depression.
and many folk are depressed right now, man.
Yeah, man. Because but what is
I'm not laughing at that, but I'm just
I know
on the same.
I know how you're doing it, but the thing is, what is depression also? It's literally lack of expression. Anytime that you're literally betraying yourself and you're denying your reality and you don't express who you are, you get depressed. That's what depression is.
Yeah. Have you heard Jim Carrey's explanation of depression?
Yeah, I remember watching a video.
So he's like, you're in deep rest because you are depressed. Like, you are like, because you're not able, as you said, express yourself.
Expression, you're open and you're literally being you. Like, having the courage to do that, it's one of the hardest things.
It's funny though when you think about it and you're like, you go back, I don't know when, I'm not a history buff, right? So I don't really know when medieval times were, but 300 years ago, is that medieval? Is that free? I don't know. Anyway, right? And like there was castles in the UK and like kings. This might be like way off. That might have been, I don't know when this timeline was, right? If there's any historians, the point I'm trying to get at is that that's when taxes were brought in. That's when like, I don't want to go down the rabbit hole of religion, but like it's like everything's in a place to manipulate people and to control population. And it's naive of us to believe that in this day and age, it's not happening.
But think about how much harder it was if you go back 100, 200, 300, like even 1,000 years ago, because you didn't have social media, not social media, you didn't have actually the internet. So you can have all this information out there, which actually opens you up to seeing the truth. Back then, the further you go back, you didn't have anything like that. So it was much easier to get control. That's the thing. Through religion, through all sorts of different ways. But now everybody has a choice. That's the thing.
Can you imagine back in the day when the Kings just said that Gary's dying, like Gary's getting hung, everyone's like, yes, let's go and see Gary die, and then they go, and you're just like, it's such a mad time. Like people lived, oh, that's my grandfather,
Pretty brutal.
40, 40 years old. He's the oldest in the family. Like, oh yeah, my grand died of plague. Do you know what I mean? Like it's insane. Like I don't know how we've got onto the topic of because it's like population control and manipulation, but it all ties in.
No, but it does. Like that depopulation agenda it's a real thing.
Yeah, yeah.
And if you actually see, like it's happening now, like for even if you see even 110, like 15 years ago, in the early 1900s, it was the exact same thing with the Spanish flu and all those things. It keeps happening the same thing, and it's all about control and power, basically. That's it.
History always repeats itself, man. And what would you say to someone? I'm trying to think where I was going there because I went off my chain of thought there.
Yeah.
See, for someone that's at a point right now that's like they're maybe listening to this. So if someone's listening to this podcast, they're obviously on some kind of personal development journey because otherwise they wouldn't be here. What would you say to someone that is career driven, like sole business, career orientated, that's at that point where they're like breaching, like they're on edge quite a lot, they're redlining, they know there's stuff there. What would you say the cost of ignoring that is?
Oh, the cost is massive because the drivers that you have, especially when we are younger, that actually lead you to creating success and everything else are very different compared to when you actually make the shift and you start actually doing the inner work. And I don't mean personal development, I mean proper inner work, which actually means properly understanding your psyche and actually working in a very holistic way, mind, body, and spirit. Spirituality is actually a very important thing. So if we don't actually connect all three, there's something missing. That's why you see, for example, someone that is trapped inside their mind, and nowadays is a very common thing, they cannot feel themselves, and there's no connection also with God, creator, divine, whatever you call it. So when you open this channel and everything is aligned, you're creating from an authentic place. So it changes completely everything. What you create changes, the people around you change, how you feel changes, everything changes. Because when we actually operate from our pain, our traumas, shame, which is a big thing, especially for us men, as entrepreneurs, at some point you're gonna reach to the phase that everything will fall apart. And it's a very common thing. And it can be a big lesson, and this is the problem with men. We actually wait until everything goes to set completely so we can actually wake up, but you don't have to do that. You have to make a conscious choice to start this process. And usually for me, and what I have seen from all this time that I'm working also specifically with men, let's talk about that, is we have a great opportunity when we reach around 28 to 30. Because usually by then you have exhausted completely your identities, basically. Your ego, it's the Saturn return, which is going to bring everything up. And usually by then, also the nervous system is also full. So there's no more space to actually bring new things in or actually create. And this is usually for us when we start to try to figure out things and question things a bit deeper and reflect on ourselves a bit deeper. So it's the first big opportunity that we get as men to actually understand what's happening inside, and actually change. And this is the biggest change that we need to do, actually stop focusing externally with everything and bring everything inside. Because this is the thing, the reason why we are easily controlled and manipulated is because they have our attention. Everything is external. So if you don't shift that and you start listening to yourself, you're not going to be able to
Completely unconscious. Yeah.
Complete unconscious. And that's why I talked about the psyche before. A very important process that we need to do is actually to understand what our ego is, what the contents are, what identities we have created through the years as we were growing up, from childhood to being a teenager and even on our 20s. So we can actually understand, because it's such a small part of who we are, and if we don't understand it and we're actually identified with that, there's a lot of struggle that comes with that. So if we don't bring more of our true self, which is basically with capital S, as Jung, who used to call that, Carl Jung, the psychologist, we're not going to be able to experience life to our fullest. And actually from an authentic.
I can totally resonate with all of this stuff the more I learn about it, because when I've really still working through all this stuff, never
Of course. I'm also. It's a process that never stops, man. By the time you die in physical form, you're going to be understanding yourself deeper. It never ends.
I seen this today, the podcast I was being interviewed on earlier on, and I was just saying, like, it never ends. Like, it just never ever ends. But
it's a journey, bro. Life is a journey.
Yeah, it's a journey, man. And I remember, like, it was 2020 for me was like when I really started like getting that like I was like, I feel like I'm gonna crack here. And my head feels like it's gonna like have a meltdown. And it was probably like that for 2 years, mate. Like 2 years.
You keep pushing through.
Pushing through, man.
We're so good at it.
Yeah.
I did that a lot.
Yeah, it's just kept going, man. And
stubborn.
just remember being like I said something. I probably spent most of my 20s struggling more than I did fulfilled, mate.
Yeah.
Which is sad. It's so sad, man. And like, and even now, like I'm several different versions of myself in a day, but I'm just learning to understand it's my responsibility to manage that, like every single day, man.
It starts from that, bro. It's literally, it starts from that, taking responsibility for everything in your life. Everything. That's the thing. And you know what, like a big part of the process also of healing or inner work, whichever way you want to see it, is actually the inner child work, which is very, very important. And if we actually don't take responsibility for that child that still lives within us and do the reparenting process, it will be very, very hard.
Yeah. We will touch, but we will never overstep any lines or boundaries in our coaching, but we talk about a lot of deep stuff in our calls. And I spoke about this, and I was talking about like, because I recently recorded an origin story video in here, like just talking through my entire life. And I got a bit emotional after it. Like I was actually, I've done it before, and I've been to therapy, and I've worked through, I've done a lot of the sort of journaling my entire life and going back to different points. Like, me, honestly, like I was like, seeing 2020, I was like, I'm going to crack. Like, I was like, I'm going to crack, man. So that would have been me when I was 27. So yeah, 27, 28, man. So like at that point that you said, like,
it's very common, man.
Very common, man.
Very common.
And I remember just learning more about it. And first time I've really kind of went into it, one of the calls, I've talked to clients about it, like when we'll ask questions, and is this something that obviously once you get on a more personal level, but it was probably one of the calls that actually, like after it kicked up so much with like in a positive way, like emotions, like people that I'm not ready to answer that right now, like because the way I didn't just go in and just ask questions like what happened, like, but I was just framing a few things, and I was talking about my experience of that. Because the more you talk about your past, even though you know your past story, when you're a more conscious person, then you go back and revisit it again, you get a different perspective of it.
Oh, yeah, man.
And like I was just talking through my story, man, and I was like, God, man, I was like getting emotional talking about it. Like, and it's, you don't realize the things that make you, and the imprint that they have on you as well. Like one of the things that I learned was that like, I just kind of like subsided myself as this guy that was just like a pasture. Like I was happy just participating. And like, that's so sad. And it was just because I'd never really had shown how to be great at anything. And I didn't realize that. It was crazy. And the more you understand yourself, and a lot of people think that like they need to go on that journey if they've had what Zara would say is like trauma with a capital T. They've maybe had like a really near life experience, or they've had a grenade thrown at them, or they've fucking been sexually assaulted, whatever that is. And there's nothing wrong with if that's happened to anyone. It's people think that in order to go and visit that, they have to
process it. Like it's about processing the past. It's not about getting stuck in the past. And this is the thing. And this is a very important thing that people need to understand. So the process is to go in the past, to actually process what has happened in a somatic way, so you can actually, the trauma imprint that you talked about, so we can free the nervous system from that and do also at the same time the psychological work, so we can process that. So it's not about consistently going there and trying to make a story from the past. That's the worst thing you can do, because it puts you basically in a victim mindset. That's the thing. You're not growing. You're actually getting stuck still there. So it's about processing and moving through. And eventually it gets to the point. So for example, for me, like I'm now close to 42. So I've completed most of, like, actually I would say comfortably, like all of my big processes. There's no reason for me to keep going back in the past. I've done the process in my body, I've done the psychological work, but there's always gonna be things that's happened and we need to process it. That's it. So when we process the past, then okay, what identity do I wanna create for the future? Because you can be present and actually live from the now, but you still have to start creating for the future to create that new identity, which is basically that work from Dr. Joe Dispenza, you know, that they go through that quantum and on all sorts of things. So it's very, very important. And this is the big problem. People live from the past experiences, because the body holds everything and remembers everything, and then in the mind, we still operate from the conditioning and the programming we received from the parents, from the education system, from society, from our culture. So it's basically the whole undoing that needs to happen.
So hard, isn't it? It's such a it's a journey.
But that's why most people they don't choose to do it, because it's so hard, it's intense, because you will have to go through all the things that you haven't been processed for decades. So that's why the longer you live it, the harder it gets. You know, like I've been working also like with so many high performing men, even in their 50s or even 60s. And you start to open a bit the doors and actually to get them to understand what is happening. And it's a lot, man, because all of a sudden you have this big influx of information and emotions that comes up. Yeah, that's why you need to have someone to keep you safe through this process that you can trust.
Yeah, you open up a lot of wounds, don't you? Yeah.
They're there. You don't. They're just waiting for you to see. Look at me. I'm knocking at the door consistently.
Come and get me.
Yeah, that's it.
But mate, I'm honestly gutted that I didn't book the studio for longer. Because this has been honestly such a good chat, man.
Yeah.
And
Let's do part 2.
may as well with Zara as well.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to get this episode done, and then they didn't have any availability this week. And they were like, we have an hour tomorrow, yesterday, and I was like, let's do it, man. Let's just book that in. So, mate, it's been absolutely awesome to have you on. Let's definitely do a part 2, man. Because I feel like there's so much to be spoken about. And yeah, man, if you obviously took a lot away from this, please leave your thoughts in the comments below. And if we are going to do a part 2, please let us know what you would like us to talk about. Is there anything that you would like to ask Theo? Is there anything you would like us to discuss? And yeah, man, but bro, thank you so much for coming on. I loved that, man. Absolutely loved it. And I know that we'll be doing more work with each other as well, which is going to be awesome. But guys, if you enjoyed the episode, please do me a massive favor. If you don't already, hit subscribe to the channel. Anyway, see you later. Goodbye.